Hello friends, welcome. In today's episode, I am going to be talking about how to improve sales talk. How do you improve sales talk? Well, by the end of this session, you'll have mastered key techniques to elevate your sales conversations, making them more persuasive and result-oriented. If you're ready to turn your pitches into profits, this video is for you. Have you ever felt that you're just not getting through to your potential customers? Or you often find yourself stumbling over the right words? What if you could learn the secrets to flawless sales dialogue that converts listeners into buyers? Well, that is exactly what we want to do today by first defining what sales talk is and why it's important. Then we'll talk about different ways to improve your sales talk, leaving you with actionable takeaways to help win your customers over. If you're ready, let's go. So what is sales talk and why is it important? Sales talk is a psychological strategy used by salespeople to help align their buyer's mindset with the salesperson's objectives. The process involves repetition of words, nonverbal cues, and subtle differences in wordings to help create a feeling of belonging that leads to increased trust and eventually higher conversion rates. Sales talk is important for a lot of different reasons. First and foremost, it's probably one of the most important ways to move a potential customer from where they're at to being a lifelong customer and take them from the initial interested phase to the final stage of then making a purchase. Sales talk can help you sell more products and services in the short term, since it helps buyers feel like they're part of the process and connected to the product or service. And because of that, they're more open to ideas and suggestions to the deals that are presented to them. Additionally, since sales talk is a persuasive technique, it can make customers want what you're offering to them even more, reinforcing their decision-making process and increasing the chance of a successful sale. It also helps create a picture in their mind, helping them latch on to where they could potentially be or what they could potentially have, and ultimately where they see themselves. You know, part of our sales process is a two-part sales process. And one of the overall purposes of that initial phone call is to take people from just interested in what they bought to somebody who's really interested for the next product or service that we're gonna offer them. And we do that by what we call a scenario where we help them understand maybe some of the pain they're having now and mix it with some of the dreams they have down the road. Now, when I say pain, these people bought something for a reason. They bought a program to help them learn how to do real estate, start an online business, or improve themselves in personally or professionally, but we want to look at their current situation, right? Where are they right now? What does their job look like? What does their current situation tell us about them? And there's a reason that they're not super excited about their current situation, and we call that the pain situation. But then we want to find out where they want to get to. Where do they see themselves? Ultimately, what could they be doing if everything was equal and they could be doing it? And that is the dream scenario, right? That's helping them reach their goals and their dreams. And a lot of times we help bridge that gap from where they are to where they want to get to. And the way to get them there is through maybe an involvement into a program that'll show them how to do real estate or start an online business, or even just improve their mindset or their professional development to level up in their current job from where they're at to maybe potentially get paid more or to be elevated to a new position. And so sales talk in that scenario is really important as we help them understand this current situation is maybe what it is right now, but it doesn't have to always be that way. And if this is where you want to get to, you can definitely get there by doing certain things a little bit differently than how you've done it before. So what are some ways to improve sales talk? So number one is to listen actively and learn from your prospect. I've imagined you yourself have been in those situations where you're talking to a sales representative and you know right from the get-go that that sales individual isn't hearing a single word that is coming out of your mouth. They are just going through their pitch and just putting it all out there, just blurting it all over on you. And they're talking nonstop, and you believe this is a person that just loves to hear themselves talk, and they're not hearing anything you say, or they're not addressing any of your concerns. This is why being a sales representative, active listening is so important. When we listen actively, we do a whole lot less talking and a whole lot more listening. They always say that God gave you one mouth and two ears for a reason. And when you understand that, you actually start listening to your prospect and start listening what cues they're giving you that will help you take the conversation in the correct direction. Or you start listening to the times where they're selling themselves, and when you hear that and you notice that, you start asking them additional questions that will help them confirm the idea of why they're selling themselves and why that's a good idea. Because nobody wants to be sold, but everybody wants to buy. And if they can come to that conclusion themselves, that is a much more powerful sale. Another way to improve sales talk is to be solution-oriented. Most customers have objections when you're going through your sales presentation. However, if you can provide solutions to their objections in a way that doesn't feel like they're being sold, you could potentially have them eating out of your hand in a good way. You know, one of the most common objections we have in the programs that we currently offer, that are consulting and coaching programs, is spousal support. A lot of times it's very easy for somebody to go through an entire presentation and say, you know what, let me check with my wife, let me check with my husband. And so one thing we decided to do is go way upstream and say, listen, this is an important decision. This is one that could have a real positive impact on your life. And we want all the decision makers, all the important people to be on the phone call. So is this something, as we go through this, and at the end of it, we decide, hey, this is something I want to move forward with. Is it something we're going to need your spouse on board with from the get-go? And is it important to have them on the get-go? And is it important to have them on the conversation so they can know exactly what we're talking about? Because I know sometimes what happens is we go through all this with you and you go tell your wife, say, hey, it's this much money. And she says, for what? A program. And what do you think your answer is going to be? Obviously, it's going to be, no, that's not a good idea. But if she can hear what I'm telling you, or he can hear what I'm telling you, then absolutely the chances of them supporting you are so much greater. So just by doing that and going upstream has really overcome that objection in most of our sales presentations. Another way to improve sales talk is to always personalize the presentation. Anytime you can personalize the presentation for a specific prospect, the greater affinity they're going to have for the company, the product, or service. One of the best ways to do this is help asking them questions about where they see themselves down the road. We would always ask the question, say, listen, if you got involved in this program and you put 100% effort into it and you're working with a coach, somebody that can help you overcome the pitfalls before you get there, where would you see yourself 6 months down the road? Where would you see yourself 12 months down the road? And by them answering those questions, it helps personalize the experience to them as the individual and help them feel more affinity to your organization and your product and service. And one of the last things that I've seen work really well, and all of your sales presentations with commitments. Most people understand how important commitments are. And I always tell people the most important commitment that you can make and keep is to yourself. So when you finish the presentation, you say, listen, here's a few things that I'd like you to do. I'd like you to commit to doing these things between now and by the time you get started with a coach, or between our conversation and your conversation with a program director. And if they fulfill those commitments, they're even cementing even further their opportunity to purchase or see success in the program. So commitments is just another powerful way to end that conversation in sales talk, and another way to progress them through the sales process. Now, these are things that we've done within our organizations about ways to improve sales talk, but I would love to hear your feedback. What have you done? What have you seen work really well for you? Please comment below. Let's engage in a dialogue. And as always, just for stopping by and watching the video, I've got a free sales training for you. It's a 10-module course, our Sales and Persuasion. We use it to train all of our sales reps. It's some of our best stuff we've ever put out there, and it's absolutely free, no obligation. All you have to do is click on the link below, aaronsSalesTraining.com. And once again, thanks for stopping by. Have an amazing day.